Hello and welcome to another edition of Buddha Talks Hoops. Today it's Nate coming through with a quick solo pod, talking about the first round. Got a lot of stuff going on with all of these series. A couple series finished. We're going to reflect on those and then just give a little update, see what I'm thinking, see where I might have been a little wrong about things, maybe some things a little bit more right, but we'll get into it. Today, just keeping it simple, rocking a throwback Knicks shirt. Knicks, the big win last night. We will get to them. But first, let's start with the two series that concluded, one of which last night, one of which a couple nights ago. So we'll start at the top of the West. There's the top two teams of the West that took care of business in the time they probably should have. We'll start with the Thunder and the Suns. And takeaways, if any series were to be a sweep, this is probably the series that most people would have predicted beforehand. Jalen Williams only played, I believe, 2 games, might have been 1.5, 2.5. So, but he was out definitely game 4, and they didn't really need him. Even if he didn't play the whole series, I think they would have swept this team. It was too much defense, too much Shea. They got pretty solid shooting as well, just from a few guys here and there. Casey Wallace coming through hitting shots, Alex Caruso hitting shots. Chet looked pretty confident in his three-point shot, and Shea gave multiple dominant efforts in a series where the Thunder kind of just outclassed the Suns. And we'll have time to talk more about the Thunder. They're going on to the next round, as people predicted. They keep on moving, and at this point probably look like the favorite to win the NBA title. But still, a ways to get there. Thunder on to the second round. For the Suns, listen, it was a fun season from the standpoint of you didn't have any expectations going in, and you thought worst case scenario was this could be a team that was a Devin Booker injury away from being a tanking team without their pick. So it was a good season. They won 45 games. They made the playoffs. But the deficiencies were apparent. Devin Booker, the guy's great. I'm a big fan. I've been a big fan. I think I've had to cool some of my enthusiasm, honestly, because he's disappointed me in a couple series over the last few years. They now have not won a playoff game since 2023 because over the last 3 seasons, they've made the playoffs twice, and they've got swept both times. The other time was with Kevin Durant in Minnesota. They played Minnesota, and then obviously last year missing the playoffs. So Devin Booker's a great player. He's probably a top 15 to 20 player in the league, around there. Top 15, I'd say. Maybe 14 to 18, whatever. He's not a top 5 guy. He's not Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And comparing those guys, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the guy that can put a team on his back and dominate. And Devin Booker, I think, does need a little bit more on the peripheral. And that's okay. But he was overburdened in the series. And his numbers were solid. He scored 21 a game, I believe. But he was only assisting about 4 to 5 times, and he was turning it over a little bit as well, while being not super inefficient with his scoring. He was decently efficient. True shooting was 56, and that's only 2% down from his regular season of 58, so it's not the end of the world. But the volume wasn't also there either. And listen, Devin Booker's not the reason they lost this game. There's a lot going on with this Phoenix Suns team. Some good, some not so good. But I'm just saying, in a world where they could even maybe steal a game, whatever, win a game 3, make it 2-1, just something to give a little bit more juice into the series, open the door for more unpredictability, you needed a Devin Booker 40 ball somewhere in there or whatever. And he's done that before. He's given games like that. I remember in the 2021 playoffs when they played the Lakers in the first round, and there was guys out for Phoenix. LeBron was pretty much playing by himself, just AD. But Booker gave, I believe it was a 46 or something. It was a 40-point game in a game 6. So he can do it, but consistently, it's not really there. He's not a point guard. He's an off-ball guard. And this Phoenix Suns team does not have the passing infrastructure around him to make it any easier. Jalen Green, he ain't helping with the passing. Dylan Brooks not helping with the passing. And that's not even talking about the front court, which has issues of its own. Oso Ighodaro, he's a nice find, but if you're relying on him heavily. So, Phoenix, they have questions going into the offseason. We'll see. I do feel like we can reflect on them now that their season's over. But we'll also have time to go over that more in the offseason. So I think that's enough for that series, though. Thunder going to the next round. And then one level below that, Spurs taking care of business against Portland. Not going to lie, this is one of the series I probably watched a little bit less than the others. Just, I don't know, I felt like the times that they were on. But I caught most of last night's game, and I saw a good chunk of Dylan Harper's explosion in Game 4. That was nice to see. Go Rutgers. So, and also they got a nice closing performance from De'Aaron Fox last night, which is in a game where Wemby was doing crazy stuff defensively last night. Offensively, he wasn't super involved, and they had a pretty balanced scoring attack, and De'Aaron Fox really took over in the fourth quarter. So that's what you get a guy like De'Aaron Fox for. And then from a Portland standpoint, just not enough juice on the perimeter for Portland. And another team that's going to be interesting going into the offseason. Deni Avdija, obviously a great season. I think that's a guy you can definitely build with. Is he overburdened? Definitely. He's another guy. He needs a ball handler next to him. And it was just every time I felt like I was watching Portland, it was Drew Holiday step back three, or, Scoot had a big game, but then he also had a couple games where he wasn't really a factor later in the series. And he's not really burning with playmaking. He's just kind of giving the ball and looking to score. So it could be him looking for a bucket. Donovan Clingan was taking a healthy amount of threes, which when they go in, they look cool, but generally it's not a great way to live with your offense. So I will be curious to see if this is a team that can maybe swing big for big offensive talent, because right now just not enough shot making, not enough play creation on the perimeter. They have a good defensive infrastructure, but going against San Antonio is just a different beast, because San Antonio is a team with the defensive infrastructure, obviously, and then also just a decent amount more scoring punch. So the Spurs are going to be interesting going forward. I definitely have some thoughts on what I saw from the Spurs this series, because they have all this talent. They have a good amount of shooting when it can hit. Devin Vassell can make shots for you. Harrison Barnes can make shots for you. Champagne's a big shooter. And Wemby also can threaten from the perimeter. But it will be interesting to see how much they have to get Wemby involved against the better teams. Because honestly, against Portland, they paced Wemby. Even last night, I think he had maybe 20-something minutes going into the fourth quarter. So, or maybe 19. He didn't play huge minutes. And also just in his involvement in general, I think they were thinking, how much can we do without burdening Wemby? So, which checks out, and they're good enough to do that, which shows that should give you some level of confidence. But the next round will be interesting. And let's just go to the series that is going to decide who's the Spurs play next. And that's Nuggets-Wolves. Just a strange series. Edwards goes out. He's done for the series. Hopefully he could come back next round. DiVincenzo's done for definitely the playoffs and all of next year, most likely. I guess we don't know with Achilles anymore. But it has been a strange series. I didn't predict it going at this. I have Nuggets in 7, which at this point looks like it has an okay chance of happening. But if Anthony Edwards is healthy, there's no way I am thinking that's going to happen. Just because, especially in that game, it really started. It's been the whole series really after Game 1. The Nuggets won Game 1, but throughout, the Nuggets haven't even played. The Wolves haven't even played fantastic, but it seems like they just have enough defensive agitation, and then they could also get shots just because, as Jamie McDaniel said, they have places to pick at. They seem like the top to bottom better team than Denver, but with these injuries, obviously, a wrench is thrown into it. So it's hard. It's a hard series to talk about because something happened, but also you're not predicting it to happen to the level. Right now they're relying on Mike Conley. Terrence Shannon's getting real minutes. So I feel like Denver should win this series. But that's, again, saying it based on what's happened to the Wolves. And there's still a concern that defensively the Wolves have enough. Now, I'm not sure. Last game, it did look different. Now that was, I understand 3-1, you're going home. That's a team that I mean, I think there was a 10.5 point spread, so that was a game that people expected Denver to win. But if you do it 2 more times, obviously you win the series. And again, you're relying for 2 more games on guys like Mike Conley, Terrence Shannon, who can make plays and do things, but just consistently, it seems like that's going to make life easier for the Nuggets. But we'll see, because Nuggets have a lot of questions, and they have some injuries of their own as well. Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson. So, tough series to talk about. I think the Nuggets are going to end up winning, but don't feel great about how they're playing. It's just been a weird Jokic series. You don't usually see Jokic series like this. He looks out of sorts. He hasn't had any of those dominant one-on-one games. He's usually good for like one of those a series where he goes for 45 and 20. Gobert's not giving it up. Last game was a much better game for Jokic, but it still doesn't seem like he can pick his poison as much. It seems like Minnesota is limiting the options to which he plays, which is tough to do with Jokic because that's part of his greatness is he keeps every option on the floor open. So, wait and see with that series. Game 6 is tomorrow, I believe. Okay. Might as well just finish out the West. We have 2 more West series. Oh, no, we have 1 more West series. We've only talked about West series today. Yes. 1 more West series. Lakers, Rockets. Another one, just strange. And we'll eat crow in this one. I did not, because even with Kevin Durant playing, and you can't talk about injuries even when the Lakers are missing Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic. So, I did not see the Lakers being this competent offensively at times, and I didn't see the Rockets being this anemic offensively. It has been, and I'll get to the Lakers because I definitely have some credit to give, and it's incredible what LeBron is doing, and there's a lot of takeaways on players with the Rockets. It's going to sound weird because I know it was only 1 game, but the Kevin Durant, he only played 1 game. The Kevin Durant thing, it's not going great. And I talked earlier in the year when I was doing my All-Stars glowingly about the Durant Rockets season. I think I got a little excited, called him a top 10 player. He's not top 10. He's like top 15. So this is an all-time great player. And he was having what I saw was a pretty fun season for the most part, going up to February, where team was winning, he was putting up good numbers, he was staying healthy, and he stayed healthy the whole season. He played 78 games. And then the burner thing happened. Didn't love that. Didn't love that because there does seem to be a theme happening where Kevin Durant's teams are losing steam throughout seasons, and the vibes are not good. And it doesn't seem like he's contributing to helping them at times, okay? Again, I'm not there, but just from the outside, it does seem to be happening. And then part of it is, I think, also the way he plays, because in that 1 game, and I haven't been able to talk about individual games, so I'm kind of clustering things, but in the 1 game he played, and he had 9 turnovers, I did not like the way that Kevin Durant was playing. And they're probably just tasking him with too much. And it's honestly the difference between a guy like Kevin Durant and LeBron James. And they're both unbelievable players all time. As I said, Durant's a top 15 guy of all time. LeBron is arguably the best player of all time. So I guess that's the difference. Because LeBron has his team playing together, playing to their strengths. He's passing the ball great. He's getting... last game was really bad for LeBron. And that series isn't over. And we will see what happens. They play tonight. It's only a 4.5 point spread. So there's things to happen. Kevin Durant, again, not playing. But the Lakers have played with a different level of cohesion. Now, with that being said, this series should probably be 2-2. But because they had one of the all-time collapses of the basketball season up to this point, up 6 points, 30 seconds, poo-poo on the court. So that did happen, but that's also who the Rockets are, and that's also who the Lakers are. Who's been the more composed team? The Lakers. Who has been the team that when things get difficult, it seems like they're just running in mud. It doesn't seem like any differences are made. Adjustments are made. The way that they're playing, and I think some of this goes on Udoka too. It's, again, and I don't want to throw dirt on this series yet, so I don't want to talk too reflectively, but Udoka has not done a great coaching job from my observation, just based on the lineups that are working together, things that he just could have tried. I know I heard this on the low pod, but in the game that Durant did play, Durant, Şengün, and Reed Sheppard only played, I think, 10 minutes together, which just seems crazy with the offensive issues this team has. But I'm not going to blame all of it on Udoka, because at the end of the day, the players are making the plays. Reed Sheppard hasn't been a good series. Şengün hasn't been a great series, although he had a big game in Game 4. So we shall see. This series is not over. No team has come back from 3-0. So it should be over. But we have some interesting It's 3-1 now, though. So once it's 3-1, I'm like, okay, now it's a 3-1 series. It's no longer a 3-0 series. I don't think the Rockets are going to win. I think the Lakers should win tonight. That would be my prediction. But if they don't, then maybe we'll have something slightly different to talk about. But thus far, there's differences in the players between the Lakers and the Rockets. There's difference in the coaching, and it doesn't look like the Rockets are playing cohesively in a way that's going to sustain over another game or another two. But that series not over yet. Okay, that's the West. Fun stuff. Go into the East. Let's start at the top. The 1-8 matchup. 3-1 Orlando Magic over the Detroit Pistons thus far. So another wacky series. And there's been a few wacky series. They've been fun. The first round has been interesting. There's been some injuries, which has been unfortunate, but I'm kind of used to that at this point. And some of the games have been kind of rock fights, but I'm okay with that generally because it does show just the competitive level that they're playing at. And Pistons Magic has been some kind of rock fight. And a lot going on through the first 4 games. Takeaway is the Magic I want to talk about the Magic first. They look like a team that people thought could have been a top 4 seed before the season. It's kind of like when you watch the NCAA tournament and there's a team that is maybe a 10 seed, but then you look at the preseason AP poll and they were ranked top 10. You're like, oh, this team clearly had talent because people thought they would be really good, but whatever, for one reason or another. And sometimes those teams flame out, obviously. But the Magic are kind of like that because... And they're not playing great offensively. So it's not even like they have guys that are completely lighting it up. But both defensively and offensively, they're showing that they're up to the task against the Detroit athletes and against Detroit individually. Desmond Bane has been one of the best scorers in the series. Paolo's been up and down in terms of his efficiency, as he always will be. But I think generally he's done a pretty good job of creating plays and drawing attention and playing with confidence. So Orlando's playing good enough, and this is... People are saying they're not a traditional 8 seed. There's an argument for it because, again, to be a team that people thought were going to be a top 4 seed, whatever, clearly there's a baseline of talent. And obviously they had their health issues all season. But Detroit, this is very disappointing. This is very disappointing so far. And right now they have a lot of issues, and it really starts on offense with them. There's just no playmaking outside of Cade. There's minimal shooting. You have Cade trying to take on the shooting load at times and, go shooting 8-9 threes in a game or whatever. Or just, in game 1, he had to take 27 shots. And Cade's had his issues, but he's definitely not the issue with the series because he's just burdened to do a lot. Jalen Duren has been the big loser of the series, and it's been tough to watch, and there's not too many times my opinion changes very strongly about a player just through a series, but this is turning into one of those series against Jalen Duren. For Jalen Duren. He's had his moments defensively. He's showed flashes here, when he gets to the rim, but he doesn't have a post game. His face-up game is not really happening. He's going against Wendell Carter Jr., who's a good center, but he's not going against Rudy Gobert. And there's just not a lot happening in the Jalen Duren actions. So when that's not really a threat, he doesn't have a pick-and-pop game, and the roles are being cut off. Now you're kicking out the shooters that can't really shoot, and now Cade is saying, screw it, I'm just going to go iso ball. And that works probably more often than a lot of the other options. Detroit has some problems. The series is not over. They have a game tonight, and the Pistons are pretty big favorites in that game. So, Vegas is not giving up, but the way they're playing so far, it doesn't lend you to think they could win 3 games in a row. But we will see. 3-1 series, not done yet. It's hard to speak too definitively about some of these series just because I feel like they're not over. So, time will tell. Time will tell. Yeah. Okay, that's good on Orlando, Detroit. Well, we've waited long enough. We'll talk about the Knicks. They get a big win last night. When make the series 3-2 in their favor and get the big win at home. There wasn't really too much of a doubt, and you'd like to think that's the game, and really these last 2 games where they've won both by they're up 20 points at the end. You'd like to think that is more the sign of the team they are. And you would like to think they would win Game 6, hopefully again, in convincing fashion. I'm not super surprised. I had New York in 6, so I never thought they were going to cakewalk this team. The Knicks have the potential to be a great team, but they also have some deficiencies that can cause them to play less than the sum of their parts. And they still have some issues. But I think right now they're playing good enough based on the personnel and the guys that they're asking to do certain things. Jalen Brunson with a huge game last night. He's doing the same things he always does, really. They still have a Mikal Bridges-sized problem, and it's a problem. It's a problem, and at this point, they've pretty much decided Miles McBride is more impactful than Mikal Bridges, and I would agree with that assessment. Last night, McBride, although he had his issues in that early in the series, that was Game 3, I believe, guarding McCollum, as everybody did. Last night, he really was up to the task, and New York was showing extra bodies and pretty much just saying, McCollum, you are not coming off and shooting this basketball. And every time he saw a ball screen, he was seeing 2 bodies, and Dice Nail was getting the ball in the middle and not really knowing what to do with it. So they've defensively adjusted, but going to Bridges, defensively he hasn't been elite. Offensively, very, very, very far from elite. So that is an issue, but they have OG Anunoby playing great basketball. He's really been one of the more consistent players really in the playoffs so far, I think. Obviously not from like a superstar angle, but just in terms of what you're asking from a guy. So he's essential. Cat's had his moments. New York, to me, it's a shrug so far. We'll wait and see, because this is kind of how I thought it would go. I'm satisfied with the way it's going. They're playing good basketball, and they should win this series. But don't let it go to 7. Don't let it go to 7. Okay. We have 2 more playoff series in the East. We have the Celtics, and we have the Cavs. The Celtics playing the Sixers, and the Cavs playing the Raptors. And I wish I could talk about the Celtics game from last night and the closeout so we can wrap this series up. But nope, the Sixers come back. And honestly, I didn't really watch this game last night because it was mostly during the Knicks game. But based on my assessment, and I have watched other games earlier in the series, looks like Embiid had a big game last night, though. So I know that Celtics fans are talking about the issues with the center rotation. And even in past games, you definitely see the effort the Sixers are making, just no matter who the center is. Keita, Vucevic, Garza has gotten some time in there. The Sixers are making that a part of their defensive action. It's getting hard for the Celtics to hide all of that. And offensively, it doesn't seem like they've really got much from the center position either. And last night, I tuned in for the end of the game because it was during the Knicks halftime, and the Celtics didn't make a field goal for the last 5 minutes of the game. So that's a problem. There's definitely some shooting issues going on. I know Derek White didn't have a great shooting regular season. Doesn't seem like he's having a great shooting playoff so far. So, again, a team that, they're 3-2 though, and the Knicks are 3-2. So I'm not trying to... That's kind of who these teams are. And Boston is interesting because they won the title, they have the championship pedigree, but also just from a roster perspective, that's not the team they are now. They don't have a prime Drew Holiday. They don't have Al Horford playing really good basketball. So to be up 3-2 against Philly, it's not stunning to me. You'd like to probably see maybe a dominant Tatum game or a dominant Jaylen Brown game, but it is just interesting with the Tatum thing because it's amazing he's back. I'm very happy he's back. I'm glad this all worked out. But in the back of your mind, you're not expecting a 45-point or, a nuclear Tatum game. It could happen. And hopefully it does. I think it can because obviously he has the ability. But it is interesting because it's just been it's been a great Boston season. But I still feel like people are struggling to kind of calibrate what to expect out of this team. But winning this series in 6 wouldn't stun me. I believe I picked it in 5, so I thought they would have gotten it done by now. But winning in 6 wouldn't stun me, and this team still has a lot of good going for it. They still have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum playing good basketball. But Boston's also notoriously really bad at these home closeout games for some reason. I don't know. It's kind of a Knicks thing. The Knicks struggle at home sometimes too. It feels like they feel a little tighter at home. They'd rather just be on the road. So who knows? If Boston wins next game by 32 points, which is possible, then, we're probably forgetting about this and moving on. So, time will tell. Last one. Cavs Raps. Funny series. Thought it might have been over by now. It's not. It's 2-2. Last game was absolutely anemic from Cleveland. I watched that whole thing. It was bad. And the Raptors were doing the same offensive stuff for the most part. I mean, Jacoby Walter has missed his last, I believe, 14 three-pointers. They were 4 for 30 last game, but they're coming down the stretch, and they're right there in the game, and they close it out, and Scotty Barnes makes a bunch of plays down the stretch. Down Mitchell was not great, and it does seem like this team just kind of needs Mitchell or Harden to go crazy for them to really offensively do what they want to do. Because they're not getting enough consistent shooting. They're not getting a ton of production from their front court. I mean, the Mobley Allen thing, they have not beat the allegations yet. So, this series, I did pick, I think I picked the Cavs in 5. I'm not sure. But this is a series after the first 2 games, you thought it was going 5, or some people were probably even thinking 4, because it did seem like the Cavs were outclassed a little bit. But I think the Raptors have adjusted defensively. They're showing more bodies to Mitchell. They're living with some late closeouts on the perimeter guys. Colin Murray-Boyles has been great. He had an amazing game 4. So they're trusting him. They're not really relying on Pirtle to do too much. And they're saying we might not be able to compete if we're going tit for tat offensively. But if we muck this game up, we think we have the athletes and the speed and the individual offense to stay in this game. All of that Emmanuel Quickley has not appeared in this series. So, interesting for the Rockets. Brandon Ingram, up and down. Scotty Barnes, he's been a big stock winner. RJ Barrett, good sometimes, bad sometimes, but generally he's a guy that has been able to create plays and get buckets off of mismatches. So they have individual mismatches throughout the court. It's not like they're outmatched mano-a-mano, but still, you'd think that Cleveland will be able to manufacture better offense with the offensive talent they have. So, questions for Cleveland. 2 more games at least in this series. We'll see where it goes. All right. We covered it all. That's the first round. It's been fun. We'll see what happens from here. Thanks for tuning in. Buddha Talks Hoops.